Hello everyone and welcome back here at Adobe Live. I was actually watching the stream and I forgot that we have a bit of delay while streaming. Thank you so much for joining us everyone and welcome to How To, a brand new show here at Adobe Live that I'm so thrilled to introduce you. We're going to be together in the next weeks as well, learning about how to create your favorite project using the amazing Adobe app. Today and yesterday, we focused in Adobe Illustrator learning how to create colorful banners. We talk about color theory. We're going to go and I'm going to show you a little bit more about what we did yesterday. The replay is always available here on Adobe Live. And if you're watching from YouTube, make sure to come and join us on behance.net/live or b.net/live, because that's the place where I can look right at you, look at the chat, say hi, and of course, answer to your questions. As I always say, Adobe Live is a wonderful, safe space to learn together. I learn so much from your questions, so keep them coming. I can see already that there are a few people in the chat saying hello. We got Val in the chat. Hi Val, loved your stream. I was watching right here. In fact, my audio was still on and I forgot to switch on the landing page here, but also, I can see Nadia, Jack, Susan, Katarina, Biola in the chat. Lovely to see you. Garrett, Fabio Rossi. Ciao, ciao. Nice to see you. Alexander saying the replay is available on YouTube. Yes, the replay is available both on Behance. If you actually scroll down, you'll be able to see all the different shows that are available, included yesterday replay, but also on YouTube. Alexander only came to Behance to have my comments read. You got it. It works. That's the actual proof that I'm here, I'm live, and I'm reading it. Fantastic. Val, you're welcome. I really love all that you're talking about, and we're going to dive in and talk about it in just a second as well, because I feel we have a lot in common. But let me go ahead and ask also everybody where you guys watching from. I've seen someone talking about New York City. I think it was Biola. Yes, Biola, so cold in New York City. Yeah, I'm in Manchester myself. It's not too cold in here. How cold is cold? And if you can, let me know in Celsius, because otherwise I'll have to ask Google what is the actual temperature translation from Fahrenheit to Google, because I am in Europe and here is actually 9 p.m. Let me know where you're watching from. Yesterday someone was watching I don't remember from somewhere, but it was 3 a.m. So heads off to all of you that are here spending time together and dedicating time to learn how to. And let's jump into it. Let's jump right into my computer here so we can see a little bit of the project and the file that we talked about yesterday. So yesterday we mainly focused on creating this, shall I say, pretty cool line work in order to create a background, a colorful background for our banner. And that's exactly the scope of how to. When I say we're going to create banners, we're going to create different way of making on how to make a colorful banner using different apps, in this case using Illustrator. So yesterday we explored how to create those lines using the pen tool and using the blend tool, but also we started to create gradient. I know that the text was also something that it was pretty requested, but I went a little bit further and I also introduced, as I mentioned yesterday, a little bit of photography and a little bit of overlays. So we're gonna have time to go over all the different styles here. Maybe we can talk a little bit more between gradients, see the difference between these two gradients that we have here. And if you want to follow along, there is a freebie. As usual, we love to share freebies. That's the beauty of working here together at Adobe Live. Every time that I create something, I believe in the power of the go-giver. So it's also about giving and sharing and really nourishing this beautiful community that we have here at Adobe Live. So come here and join the chat and say hi and get connected. It's also a great network opportunity to connect and link with everybody around the world. So Christelle is saying France, 10 p.m., 10 Celsius. Oh, I think that's pretty much like in here. It's cold and it's evening. Christelle, thank you so much for joining here. We have Jason watching from Washington, D.C. Cartoon from New Jersey. Paloma, lovely to see you. Alexander, I can see you pretty active in the chat. Megan is saying we have a Fox Spring in Alberta, Canada, now after 4 months of cold snap. Oh yes, minus 30 Celsius? That's really, really cool. And we have a barista from Nairobi. Welcome, welcome everybody to this new show. So before we get started, I want to show you how to download also your freebies. And all you have to do is to head on iamkladi.com/freebies. And you can see here the first one that you will find is this social media banners 2022. So once you go ahead and download it, first of all, you can also access the replays of yesterday's show right here where it says here, and also you can download the file. Now the file is going to be an empty file, so you can watch the stream and learn how to create these together. Did I say how to enough times yet? But that's exactly how it's going to look like. So you're going to have a notes, an artboard for notes. If you press Shift-O and access your artboard tool, you're going to be able to see that all these different banners are actually named, and actually artboard are named to the correspective banner size. So we have a Facebook post, a Facebook image link, an Instagram post, an Instagram story, same for the Twitter. Then we have Pinterest, and then we have YouTube image and YouTube thumbnail. Those have been updated to 2022 size and they are ready to use. Something else I want to point out before we get started is there is already a layer structure in place. Anytime that you open an Illustrator file, you have already always one layer which works as a container for all your graphic text and images. Now, the beauty of working with different layers, which as you can see here, let's jump in the one that we hopefully have used mindfully yesterday. You can see that we have different elements sitting on different layers, and that will allow us to pretty much make sure that we have a different hierarchy, so we can see if we want to just focus on the text and just forget about the images. We can just use the eye icons located here next to the layers panel, and we can hide all the other elements. Looks like we missed one over here. That's actually probably supposed to go with the other images. So you can just real quick bring back the drawings, and then all you have to do is to click and drag the layer inside the actual drawings layer, just like so. So now it should disappear, here we go, with all the others, and we only have the text available. So not only will allow you to concentrate to the part of the work that you are focusing on, so in this case text, you can just see your text in action, but also will allow you more control because you can also lock the layers, and you can edit part of the artwork without having to compromise the work that you've just done, which is very tricky, very useful, especially when you're working with multiple objects, one on top of the other. Fantastic. So as usual, the beauty of the live and the beauty of interacting here together is that we can choose what we can start working on. So let me know in chat if you would like. I think yesterday the first preference was line. Done that. Let's move on. Now the other option are we can start working with this text, so you can learn how to create this colorful text for your banners, or maybe we can jump right into the images. Here we go. Let me bring them back because I think I have hid them all. Here we go. They're not hidden anymore. Something is still hidden. Something that you want to check out also when you create groups is that there we go. So I have actually hidden layers within the group. So again, try to be mindful here when working so you can recognize right away why something is missing from your artboard. So Val, you read my mind. Do we need a poll? Yes, let's start 2022. And by the way, Happy New Year for all of you that are joining us with me today for the first time. Happy 2022. And it's time to start with the first poll. So yes, please, Val, let's go ahead and make a poll. Should we start with the images? So just to give you an idea, we're going to learn how to get an image working from Adobe Stock and then edit it in Photoshop starting from Illustrator. So we're going to work a little bit on interoperability between Illustrator and Photoshop, or do you want to start from the text? I think we are ready to go. Oh, she already done it. What am I even talking about? Wow, fantastic. Absolutely. We are a dream team. Absolutely love it. So I'm going to make sure that I go ahead and open this in a new tab so we can am I supposed to vote? No, I'm not going to vote. I'm just going to go ahead and see what everybody's saying here. Okay, so I'm going to give it another minute before I refresh, but it looks like we have already a solution, a result. Sorry, I got a bit distracted because Alexander is saying, Val, the pulse is broken. There's no soul option. Okay, so let me just go ahead and refresh. I always fall for your jokes, guys. Between me being Italian and me being busy doing managing to way too many screens, I sometimes don't even get the jokes, but I got it. I got it, Alexander. Right, so right now we are 50-50, Val. How we're gonna deal with that? I'm gonna give it another minute. Go ahead and vote on the poll. We're gonna see if to start from the text or the images. Right now is literally 50-50. I'm just gonna refresh one more time. And the table is turned. We're actually going to start from the text. So as soon as the poll started, it was all about image, image, image. But now the text just went up. And to give you the exact data, we are at 56% text and 44% images. Right. We're going to do them both, but it was just to give an idea to what you want to focus on, what you want to focus more. And just a little secret, little sneaky secret for those of you that are here with me during the live, just a secret between me and you. In the next episode, we're gonna work with mockups. So make sure to stay tuned, because we're gonna really explore, jump between Illustrator and Photoshop a lot during this stream. So fantastic. But let's go ahead and learn how to create this colorful banner using text and gradients. So the first thing that you usually do when you create text is to head and select the type tool located on your toolbar, or you can press the letter T on your keyboard and you'll see that your cursor will transform into the toolbar, which is, sorry, into the type tool, not the toolbar. Here it is. It looks like that. And something that I think many of you found that interesting yesterday was the difference between point type and an area type. And let me know in chat if you already know the difference between point type or area type. I think that's super useful when creating. So with the type tool selected, I'm going to go ahead, click and drag in order to create, in this case, an area type. And then you'll see that this is filled with a lower ipsum, which is a placeholder text. You can always change that from your preferences in order to have or not have a placeholder text. And then it looks like my text is center justified. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that the paragraph is left aligned. And I'm going to go ahead from the character panel, pick the specific type that I was using in the example was DIN. But check this out. This atomic bomb looks actually pretty cool. Now, if you want to look at more font, you can always go ahead and click here and browse, find more. In here, you'll be able to look for, test, and activate right from your app many of the 1,000 beautiful and gorgeous Adobe fonts available in the font library. So you can always head to fonts.adobe.com in order to see and have a go and do much more directly in your browser. But the super cool thing is that we do not need to leave our artboard. We can keep here working and concentrating while we look at all these other different fonts. And you can also use the filter to narrow down your font. So in this case, because we're going to use the font for a banner, I'm looking for a so-called display font, so not something that is most likely to be capital, bold. So perhaps I'm going to go ahead and search in my properties and right away narrow down to the kind of font and the style that I want by using the properties and the classification. And you can see that right away we have a very good selection. Now, if we perhaps start to type our text, so I'm going to go ahead and type the word color, which is the word that we're going to be using here. And I'm going to give it a size of maybe 30 to start. Maybe that looks a little small. Let's do 100 just to fill the screen so we can actually see it. Well, the beauty of using the character panel here inside the properties and of course browsing font is that once your text box is selected, all you have to do is to hover on top of your fonts inside the character panels, and you will see that right away the font will be tested inside your working area, and you're not committing to anything. Once you click away, it goes back to the font that you're actually using. And the very last thing before we move on from here, from the character panel, if you do wish to activate a font, you actually can see it from this little icon. When you find a little cloud with a tick, that means that the font is already activated and ready to be used inside your Creative Cloud apps. But otherwise, if there is any particular font that you wish to use and is not active, you'll just see a cloud. So let me go ahead and see if I can spot one of these with the cloud. Let me go ahead and search to find more. So any of these, if you do want to activate it, all you have to do is to click on the cloud, and Adobe Illustrator is going to ask you, hey, do you want to activate the entire family of 3 fonts? I'm going to be like, yes. And as you can see, the 2 arrows are now telling me that my font library is talking with my Illustrator app, and the font is going to be, boom, ready to go. It's actually ready to go right now. So if we go ahead and we look for these 210 is actually, there we go, ready to be used. And maybe we can just go ahead and use this font over here. Fantastic. So what I was telling you, let me go ahead in the chat and see if anybody replied regarding the point type on the area type. Text boxes. So here's a question. How can you make text box on unbound text? we have a lot of fun here in the chat. So I was talking regarding the difference between point type and area type, and if you don't know what the difference is, well, let me show you how to switch between the two of them. It's actually super easy. It doesn't change your text, it just changes the way that you work with the text. So they're also very easy to recognize. But before we move forward, I'm gonna make sure that I place the text into the right layer. So I'm gonna head back to my layers panel, and from here I'm gonna move my color text inside the layers. Now you can copy, crop, and paste into the right layer, or you can simply click and drag. Now you can recognize an area type by the 2 handles located on the side and on the bottom of the text box. And the area type will allow you to click and drag in order to change the space in which you can add the text. So for example, let's say that I want to repeat the word color a few times. By selecting one of the corner of the bounding box of the area type, I'm going to be able to change the distribution inside my space. So really change the bounding box. But look what happens if I do instead double click on the side handle, and I'm going to place a little bit more here on the artboard so you can see it. This round handle right there. If I double click on it, you will see that the bounding box is going to wrap around the text. And look what happens once I go ahead and click and drag any of the corner of the bounding box, we will transform the text. Now, remember to hold the Shift key in order to transform the text proportionally. That will retain the size and the proportion between the height and the width, so we can keep the same proportion of the text. But if you do wish to distort it, that's absolutely up to you. The text is still editable. I think actually looks quite cool with these narrow down properties, like almost as if we squish the text a little bit. And here we go. You can switch between the 2 of them at any time. You also see that, I'm going to do that again. Once I deleted the text, you'll see that by the text getting deleted, the artboard is going to wrap around the text. So the actual text box is following the size of my text. While if I switch again by double clicking on the halo circle, in this case, we're going to head back into our area type. And again, if I do add or change text, the size of the area type is not going to change. We're going to have to click and drag on one of the corner of the bounding box. Budovales is saying, I would like to know if anyone in the chat is working on projects like now. Yes, let me know if you're working on specific projects, if you're looking to create a banner, and if you are, let me know what sort of banners for your channel, for your social media. Let me know so we can also maybe tailor this work to that. So Zara and Monica, welcome in. Lovely to see you here. But let's get going. Let's keep going with this text. So the first thing that I've done here is, as I say, create a text, and then I'm going to go ahead and assign it a color. I'm going to go ahead and choose a color for the fill and then a color for the stroke. I'm just going to keep it to black just to give a little bit more of a cool, sharp edge. And then all I'm going to do is to hold the Option key while I select and drag in order to create a copy. Now, I'm not so sure that actually I'm envisioning this working that much, just because it was too thin. So I went and changed the weight to bold just to give it a little bit more of thickness, just like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and hold Option again. In this case, if you're working on a Mac, you also will use the Option shortcut. Otherwise, if you're working on a Windows, you're going to be pressing the Alt key and then click and drag in order to create another copy. And all I'm left to do here is to create and choose different colors for our fill. And if you see, I don't go very often on the toolbar, but there are a lot of things happening. So let me show you here. I'm not actually clicking anything, but with my shortcut I'll be able to change and swap between fill and stroke with the letter X. So I will be able to select the fill from the control and fill panel over here without even clicking, just with the X. And if we actually press Shift X, the color of the fill and the stroke will actually swap. So we can see the yellow and the black moving from the fill to the stroke. I do this quite often. I think it's super, super cool to work with shortcut, but you don't have to. You can always do that here exactly the same from the toolbar and just simply click on the stroke or on the fill control in order to select either or. I'm going to go ahead and select another color here for our text, and I'm gonna go and start to show you how to create that beautiful effect. So the beauty of this effect is that the text is gonna still be editable. And I just spotted something in the chat. My lovely friend Jan, lovely to see you. Welcome to the stream. I'm so super excited to see you here. Jan is a fellow instructor, educator. I've learned so much from her tutorials and we work together on projects. So thank you so much for being here, Jan. It's an absolute pleasure to see you. Thank you for popping by and say hi. And hopefully we're gonna meet in person again. We met on a beautiful occasion on Adobe Max. So hopefully we're gonna meet again in person very soon. But for now, ciao from Manchester. So once we create the different copy of the text, and again, I've created just 3. If you want to create more, you can create more. You can edit them at any time. Now, the beauty, as I said, is that we can keep those editable. So the text is still ready to be edited, ready. We can change the word, we can add or delete whatever we want. But all I've done now is to click and drag over the 3 different aspects of the text, and then I'm gonna go ahead and select the blend tool. Let me zoom in right into the toolbar so you can see how and what that blend tool looks like. You can see also the shortcut is in parentheses if you are like me, shortcut MacGyver, and you love to use shortcuts. Here it is next to the tool. You right away have the letter that corresponds to the tool. So in this case, is the letter W on your keyboard to access the blend tool from a shortcut. And then with the blend tool selected, all I have to do is to select the first text that I want to choose, and then I'm going to go ahead and select each different instance. So let me do that again. Select the blend tool and then select the first one, and then I'm going to go ahead and look at the plus icon that comes over in order to select the other one. So the effect is pretty cool. Not only it creates a blend from the different text, so it moves and replicates the word in order to blend it together, but it also blends the color, which I think is super, super cool. Now, what you can do is also change the number of blends. So all you do here is to double click on the blend tool again in order to access the blend options, and making sure that the spacing is selected to specified steps. You can go ahead and choose as many steps as you wish, depending on your project. I kind of like it here where we see a little bit of white in the space. So maybe I'm going to leave it to 7. I think maybe even a little less. 5, I think will work for me, but I really love this color. It's actually building a beautiful color palette, introducing the green in between the yellow and the blue. Of course, you can just use the color. In this case, there will not be different steps. It will just have a blend of smoothing color between the two. So we'll see colors in between the 2 colors that we have selected. But I'm going to go back into the steps because that's the effect that I was looking for, and I'm going to go ahead and press OK. Now, if you are trying to change the number of steps and nothing happens inside your artboard, it's most likely because you do not have your preview ticked. So make sure to go ahead and tick that preview box in order to see that change happening live while you experiment with the different options here for the blend. When done, press OK, and we're ready to play a little bit more with this text. So let's go ahead and press the letter V to jump right back into our selection tool, and all we have to do is to double click inside the blend to enter what we call isolation mode. Isolation mode will allow you to enter grouped images or grouped effects in order to edit them independently. So if we go ahead and select the blend tool just by clicking on it once, we can just move it as a group of images. But if we want to edit within the selection, double click on it and you'll see that the gray bar will appear on top of your artboard, just under the name or the tab of the file that you're working on. And we know that we're now working inside the isolation mode. And what I want to show you here is that the super cool thing is that we can move that anywhere we want. And we can also change the color of the text by creating different examples. So let's say that I want to create maybe different variation of the same design. Just, you know, before we pick and we choose which one we're going to use at the end, all I have to do is to select one. Remember, all I've done in order to duplicate it is to select it and drag it while holding the Option or Alt key on your keyboard, and that will allow you to create a copy right away while you drag. And then you can use this to just have a play with different colors and different color options over here. And as you can see, I'm choosing color from my swatches panel. I'm going to show you how to create a swatch panel directly from an image, because we're going to jump into Photoshop in about 10 minutes. So make sure to stay tuned. Monica is asking, where do we post our work in AI Discord? Under challenges? So that's a very good question. At the moment, maybe we can go ahead and post it under the Illustrator. This is not actually a challenge. Depend which stream you're watching. This is not a design challenge, although I'm super happy to review your work. You can post it or send it to me on your social media. But I believe that there is a chat. Val, maybe you can help us with that in chat. I think that there is like a general channel you can always tag me at, but I can look into that a little bit more and provide a space for you if you wish to use Discord to share during the stream. Otherwise, the best way is always to share it on your Instagram stories and tag me at I am Kladi, and that's the place where I'm more active. You can find me there pretty much 24/7. So yes, I can definitely see you there if there is something that you want to have to look at. Fantastic. So Potato, thank you so much for joining us. And Val is saying you can post in design feedback. Yes, just logged in after decades. Well, welcome back. Happy 2022. Lovely to see you here. Andrew, possible to use other design in Illustrator Discord? Yes, maybe other design. You, as long as you tag me with a @Kladi, I'll be able to review your work, either on Discord or on Instagram. Perfect, fantastic. So let's move on and see other options here. What I really wanted to show you is that if you perhaps want to change the text, we can actually change the text to ideally all of these instances. So I'm just clicking and just selecting all the different text that we had there. And you'll see that in just a second, we have repeated and we have maintained the same effect that we wanted with our text and our blend and our colors. And we just changed the world in pretty much what? 3 seconds. That was super fast. So all was left to do in order to create that effect that we find here is then to stretch it and make it bigger. I love to see details. So when I was a design student, I used to have a very busy sketchbooks. And what I learned to do, and I think that was probably want to give her a shout out, my BTech teacher there, or lecturer, that I think she had a piece of paper, just a normal piece of paper with a cutout in the middle, and she will go over my, like a little window, like a little mask, and she will go over my sketchbook trying to isolate a little bit of the different part. And that's pretty much what we're going to be doing here. So instead of seeing this one, which it may look a little bit messy, we can go ahead and by holding the shift key to make sure that we click and drag and we distort it proportionally, we can make these way bigger. So we can just focus on the aspect, on the transition aspect of the blend. And then another thing that I'm going to go here is to head back to my layers panel and select my background layer. And from the background layer, I'm going to go ahead and press the letter M and click and drag in order to create a background. Now, yesterday we spoke a lot about color theory. One of the things that we mentioned was contrast. So contrast talks about the difference between an object placed on the foreground and the background. That's super important when designing for web in order to make sure that we have, you know, give accessibility, all the thoughts that we need to do. And there is actually a super cool tool inside Color. Let's go ahead and go back to Adobe Color. And if you haven't been to adobecolor.com, go ahead and make sure to go color.adobe.com, and here click on the accessibility tools, and you will be able to preview the contrast checker. So that's usually set to colorblind safe mode, and that allows you to give you an idea, and it'll give you a little feedback regarding building a design that is safe for color blindness. And we also have the contrast checker. That's super, super important to have this contrast ratio. So the ideal number is of course, if we tend to put like, a black text on a white paper, you'll see that we have a great contrast. So the larger is the difference between the two numbers, of course, the larger the contrast will be. You can always choose the colors and have a test for your contrast, but in general terms, having bright colors on a dark background, it works exactly as the reverse of having black text on a white paper. So that's usually pretty visible in terms of contrast. And then how did I manage to put everything enclosed in that little box? So I'm going to create a clipping mask, but before doing so, I'm going to press Shift O to make sure that I know what is the size of the artboard, and I can go ahead and right away see that the Pinterest image has a size of 1000 by 1500 pixels. Once I do that, I'm going to press OK, and again, all I've done is selected Shift O to access the artboard tool, and then selected the artboard that I wanted to use here, the Pinterest image, and press on return to see the artboard options. Let me know if there is any question in the chat. Anastasio Lobato, I'm here seeking and acquiring inspiration. Beautiful. Welcome here to How To get all the inspiration you want. We're going to play with text, and in a little bit we're going to move into images. As I said, yes, we should have done that 2 minutes ago. I got everything timed up, but we're absolutely happy to be here together. So let me know if you have any other question. Umacron, lovely to see you. First time seeing you this year. I think you were talking with Potato, because I've seen you yesterday, didn't I? But yeah, happy New Year, happy 2022 to everybody. And come and jump in chat. If you're watching from YouTube, make sure to go ahead on behance.net/live and join the fun inside that Behance chat. So I'll be able to read your comments, say hi to you, and we'll be able to have some fun in the chat. Fantastic. So remember, 1000 by 1500 pixels. So all I have to do now is to select the rectangle tool and make sure that I click on top of the artboard. You'll see that we have intersect coming in. So those are our smart guides. If you do not see this intersect coming through, it's because probably your smart guides are deactivated. Smart guides? No, smart guides. If you want to bring them up, head to view and then make sure that smart guides is ticked. That's why you can get this lovely helper that will help you also in aligning your object inside your artboards. So by clicking once, we're going to bring the rectangle option. So we selected the rectangle tool, then we head over on the corner or the artboard, make sure that we intersect one of its corner. And now all we're left to do is to make sure that we input the correct size, which was 1000 by 1500, and click on OK in order to create an artboard that fits that specific size. And I'm going to zoom right back, head to my properties. And what I want to do now is to select Align to Artboard and align it horizontally to the center and vertically to the center, just like so. I'm also going to move that to the layer on top, just to make sure that this is actually on top of our design. And I think we have to bring it up here on top of the text. Fantastic. So in this case, it doesn't really matter what color this rectangle is, because we're going to be working with different color. And Potato is saying, reminder, please save the file. That's really true. So Command S, Control S to save your file while you're working. And unless you're working with a document cloud, which we're going to talk about in the next episode. Next episode, we're going to focus a little bit more on how to save a file and how to work with cloud documents. And let me know in the chat if you work with cloud documents before, or if you want to know what they are about. They are super, super cool, and they offer you great opportunity to also go back in time. So if you ever forget to save with cloud documents, that will not be a problem, because your document is constantly saved as you work. But let's go ahead and use this mask. So again, you can create this mask of whatever color you prefer, because we're gonna just lose the color. Only we need it. The only reason why we need it is in order to frame our art inside our artboard. So with our frame selected, we know that it's centered inside the artboard. I'm gonna go ahead and click and drag to our text and to our background layer. And maybe we're gonna just choose a color just to differentiate it from the background right now. So I click on the background, hold the Shift key, click on the text. So we make sure that we both have selected, and press Command G to bring them in one group. Because remember, masks work with the same path, or with grouped images. If you select more than an element at the same time and you try to mask them, it's not going to work. All you have to do is, just I've done it in a second here, is to select both elements or all the elements that you wish to mask together, and make sure that you group them before you move into creating a mask. So once you've done so, make sure that then hold the shift and you also select your mask. And remember, other tip, the mask has always to sit on top of the content that you want to mask, that you want to frame inside your mask. And then shortcut coming, Command 7 if you're working on a Mac, or Control 7 if you're working on a Windows machine, and we should be able to see our content. So let's see what happened here. What is not appearing? Let's go ahead. Maybe because we need to bring everything on the same layer. So let's go ahead and see where everything is sitting at in here. So it looks like we are, let's create a new layer and let's call it mask. And then what I'm going to do is to make sure that we copy everything inside this layer. So Command C to copy, select our mask. And again, as you can see, you can always add and name your layers from the layers panel. All I've done is to double click on the layer in order to add it there. And again, I'm going to go back and create another rectangle, 1000 by 1500. Make sure that I select both of the item, and boom, here we go. So yeah, make sure that you also keep your element on the same layer. Sometimes when you group them, it brings it on the same layer, but it looks like the mask was on a different layer. So that was the issue. And what we didn't do here was to align it to the artboard, but we can do that anytime just by jumping into properties, and under align we can just simply align horizontally and vertically. Isn't that super cool? I think that's a very cool way to use text and color for our banner. That actually will be looking pretty cool for your Instagram stories if you want to show your work. So Tarcisio is saying, hi, welcome back. My name is Tarcisio and I'm a big fan of yours. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, from Sicily. Fantastic. So ciao a tutta la Sicilia. A little bit of Italian drop in there. But yeah, fantastic. So Sarah is asking, can the blend image be blended again? So there are certain limits with the blend, but let's go ahead and try. So what you're trying to do here is to blend two blends. I don't know, and I hope that's not going to break my computer, but the best answer is always to try. What I would do if I want to create this effect is perhaps to outline the object first. So I will blend the object, because as you can see what happened here, and I wanted to show you to make sure that it makes sense. What it does, because the blend works on single objects, it doesn't treat the entire blend as an object, because the blend is made by all these different text. So look what happened here. We actually blended the last items of one group to the other item of the other group. So it's actually linking the two blends. But if you want to create a blend, let's say with this, create like a double effect, or let's spiral into a vortex of blends. What I would suggest to do, but in this case, we're gonna lose the editability of the color, so make sure that of the text, so make sure that you are happy with the text, or perhaps just simply create a copy by holding the option key. We're gonna go ahead under object, and under path, we're gonna go ahead and outline the stroke, and also object expand. So by expanding the object fill and stroke and clicking on OK, we are expanding our selection. And I usually do it a couple times here, so we have a full expanded object, and you can group it and then create a copy, and now we can treat those as two elements to blend. I think it will be a little messy to create this selection, but as you can see, here we go. It actually did it pretty quickly. That's actually really cool. I love this question. Tarcisio, Kladi, yes. No, Kladi's from Claudia. So my mom calls me Kladi. That's why I use the Kladi. And so many people ask me, why Kladi? Why Kladi? Well, I live in the UK, and everybody here says, instead of Claudia, they say Claudia. And what I love about my name is that it keeps a smile on your face. So Claudia has a smile, Claudia has a frown. I don't really like it. I know it seems silly, but I love to see people smiling. And my mom's called me Kladi, and Kladi is pretty international and keeps the smile on your face. So here we go, Tarcisio. Here we go. But no, please keep the chat in English. I just say, hi, yes, I can read your Italian, and I love it. Potato, yes, you in Italian are a patata. That's so funny. But let's keep the chat in English because that's the language that we share in this wonderful community. Fantastic. So that's how you create a blend of blends. So create a blend. And I love this question. Let me go back and say who asked this question, because Sarah Khan Gul. Sarah Khan, fantastic question. I really appreciate it. I wasn't thinking about it, but I'm so glad that we got to dive into that, because that's actually a very that's a very, very cool effect. I'm actually loving it. So what I'm doing here is go ahead and search one of the banner that has a landscape aspect ratio, and you can use this sort of horizontal blend of blends just like so to create your art. And let me show you, if you do not wish to create, we can always create a mask like we did before in order to frame the content. But what if you want to quickly preview your content without creating all the time a new mask? Well, all you have to do is to head under the view menu on the top of the menu bar and then select trim view. I think that's an option that was added June 2020 or June 2021. So yes, you can go ahead and preview the trim work. And when we talk about trim, that's actually the work as it will be exported right out of your artboard. So that's how the finished version will look like. And you can go ahead and move it around until you find the perfect placement without having to create a mask. Again, you can always go back. By the way, I don't know if it's just my computer, but usually the trim view tends to slow down. My computer is, as you can see, it hides everything, and I think it's worth it to give it a little bit more of a shout out. Trim view is very useful when you work in teams. If you are in an environment where you are maybe sharing even your screen and you want to show your artboard and you want to hide all the messy work that you have done around your artboards, by using the trim view, everything will be ready to be displayed. And let's take it a step further. You can always move in presentation mode, which is mind blowing, and that's actually a pretty cool screensaver. Look at that. I'm going to go ahead and show you with the presentation mode. You can simply move from one artboard to the other. So that's another colorful background. We hopefully will have time. Where's the time gone? Do we have 15 minutes left? That's absolutely crazy. Still have to work in Photoshop. I really need to get to work here. But again, all I'm doing is moving my arrows, and those are some of the colorful background that we can create. So that's the one that we're going to jump into right now. That's the one that we created yesterday, and that's our notes. But that's fantastic if you don't need to create a presentation anymore when working in Illustrator. All you have to do is simply to use the presentation mode under window, and right away you'll be able to enter a presentation mode ready to share with your colleagues or your clients. Isn't that super cool? I love that everybody is loving the Italian. Yes. And let me know in the chat if you talk any other languages. So we know that Tarcisi is Italian and he speaks English and Italian. Val, I remember you speak a few other languages as well. Let me know in the chat. So Serkan is from Istanbul. So let me know you speak English. I assume Turkish. But let me know in the chat how many languages do you speak. Potato. I love it that you are just sharing my Instagram handle. Thank you so much. So I am Kladi for Instagram to talk directly to me. I reply to messages, do polls, share work, share previews and tips. And Printmysoul is my design studio. Fantastic. So let's move on and let's see how to jump into Photoshop from Illustrator. We really have no time left, pretty much. But anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed this transition with the path. I found it super cool. I'm probably gonna do a t-shirt with that. I'm really liking it. But let's go ahead and talk about images. So if you do not have any image, and if you're looking to find inspiration from your images, you will be able to access the stock from Adobe Stock directly while working. So far we've been doing a bunch of different activities, and we stuck on working inside Illustrator. We created color palettes, we create libraries, we have actually added libraries and a color to the libraries, and then moved it into our swatches panel. We browsed for font, activated new font from the fonts.adobe.com library without leaving Illustrator. And let me show you a couple more things that you can do in terms of interoperability between Illustrator and Photoshop, and also the wonderful stock service. So if you want to go and know how to create a creative library, watch the replay of yesterday. We've done that step by step. In this case, I'm going to jump into my Adobe Live 2022. Click on the down pointing arrow of any of your library to make sure that you search inside the right bucket. And the right bucket in this case is Adobe Stock. And here you can search any keyword you like. So I love space. I'm an absolutely huge fan of space. So Casto is asking, sorry, I'm a stranger here. How can I get past videos? So Casto, you can just, if just scroll down here and you'll see so many different previews. They're also available on YouTube, but usually they're here in here. It will be under graphic design. So under the graphic design tab or under the recent video, you're going to be able to see yesterday. Otherwise is how to color for banner episode 1. That was yesterday. So go ahead and search whatever keyword you like. As I said, I'm a big fan of space and images from space. So make sure that you search in the right bucket. I preach the right words, but then I didn't click in actually Adobe Stock. And as you can see, you'll be able to access many, many different images of space, whatever you like. I've selected one over here. Whenever you like an image, all you have to do is to click on the plus icon to add it to your library. And then you can head back anytime and search again many other images or many other keywords. Like here we go, we can use the word mountains, for example, and you see by heading to Adobe Stock, you'll be able to find images about mountains. And again, just simply press on the plus icon in order to add it into your library. But now we get to the cool point. So how do we edit these images in Photoshop? Like, that's super cool. Check this out. All you have to do is to right click on the image and then select edit and wait for the magic to happen. So my hands are up here. I'm not doing anything. As you can see, Illustrator launched Photoshop, opened our image, which is ready to be edited inside Photoshop. Isn't that super cool? And we have 10 minutes. I have a ton of things to show you. Well, thankfully the show is coming again. I can't believe I really wanted to show you so many more things, but we're going to be back together. I believe it's the 26th and the 27th of January. So How To is coming back. Let me know if you're in. I have a ton of wonderful tricks to show you, but let's get going with this one. So we have the image open, and I'm going to show you first how to retain the color palette so we can use the color palette from this image, so a space galactic color palette, and use it into our Illustrator file. Well, all you have to do here is to make sure that your image is selected, and from the libraries panel, click this little icon. Now, don't be afraid if you don't know how to use Photoshop. That's absolutely fine. Check how quick it is. With your image selected, click on Add Elements and then Create from Image. Create from Image is pretty much Adobe Capture integrated inside of Photoshop. This will launch the Create from Image, and this will allow you to create so many mind-blowing assets from your photo. As you can see, the first one here is patterns, which is super cool. You can select different patterns, shape, and also different color between colors and grayscale. And also you can scale the image. That's pretty cool that you can see here the actual sample, and you can also rotate it, which is pretty mesmerizing. I'll probably spend the last 10 minutes just playing. Look at this one here. So beautiful. And you can save these to your creative library, so you'll see it will appear there in a second. But what I want to show you are the color themes. So as you can see right away by clicking on color themes, Adobe Capture and Create from Image will pull out the most prominent colors, but you can also change the mood of this color between bright and muted, and the selection will change. But the super cool thing is that you can actually move these different color picker. You have access to 5 different colors, and you will see that it will zoom inside the image. Look how good the zoom is. Look at this galaxy. We can actually go ahead and try and select the color of the galaxy here, and the star, and whatever you want. You can literally go ahead and select the right color that is up to your preference, and then save it to your CC library. Now, what if you also like the original color panel? Well, you can the color palette, you can always go back into it by selecting colorful and then save to CC libraries, and you can save as many color combination as you want. But the super cool thing is that once you're done, you can also create gradients and shapes. We're going to talk more about this, but let's get going because the time is moving fast on us. Once you're done, you'll see that the color the themes will appear right away inside your library. I'm just going to add another one just to show you how you access live the library, and then click close. So I have extracted the color from our photo, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to transform my photo into a black and white image real quick by choosing the adjustment layers called black and white. So super easy. You do not need to be an expert in working with Photoshop. And maybe if you want to take it up a notch as well, we can work with brightness and contrast in order to give a little bit more contrast to our image, just like so. Now, once you're ready, all you have to do is perhaps to click and drag if you want to move this image inside your library. And you will see that in order to have the image with the effect, what I'm going to do is to select the image and the layer, right click on it, and make sure that we convert this in a smart object. So a smart object works as a container and will keep the adjustment layers, so the black and white and the saturation, and the brightness and contrast with the image. So all we're left to do now is to drag the image inside the libraries. And we're done. Let's jump back into Illustrator, and you'll see that everything that we've been doing is already been updated inside Illustrator. So what I'm going to do here is to click and drag in order to bring our image, and we can place it so we have our black and white version of the sky. And then real quick, I'm going to show you how to use the color palette. I got like 2 minutes. I can't believe it. I'm going to go ahead and click and drag using the rectangle tool. Press the letter M to access the rectangle tool. From the properties panel, I'm going to press the letter G to have the gradient options appearing. I'm going to select a freeform gradient for our fill, and you will see that we will have different points appearing here inside the that we can add and move inside the gradient. And all I'm left to do is to head back to my libraries and choose the color palette that we picked from our space photo, so we can actually use the exact colors that belonged to the image inside our photo. Here they are. For some reason, my mouse is not working correctly. And again, you can add as many points as you like. You can use many different colors. Perhaps I will use something a little bit brighter to make sure that we retain contrast with the black and white. And you can click and drag to move them. You can double click on them to change the colors and their opacity. And you can drag them out, click and drag them out in order to delete them, or simply click again inside to add as many as you want. So once we created this, all I'm going to do is to bring them behind my image just to create a little bit of a contrast. So we have the actual color of the photo, but we have exported that outside of the photo by creating a gradient. And then what I've done again, just to create that sort of framing effect, I'm going to go ahead and press Command C to paste and Command F to press in front. And then I'm going to go ahead and use the Shift and Option shortcuts to enlarge the image proportionally from the center, and use the Command Shift left bracket to bring it to the back. All I'm left to do is to select them all, head to the properties, and align to selection horizontally and vertically, so everything is aligned. And if you wish to make this smaller, you can always do that. Again, make sure to select Option and Shift so you know that you're aligning from the center, and you're also aligning proportionally so you don't distort your image. So that's how you create this effect. Now we have like 1 minute left, but as I said, thankfully we're gonna have a more. So Val is asking, these are live gradients, is that what they're called? They're called free form gradients. The beauty is that you can always access your gradient. I'm going to actually have a play with this one here because that's also a freeform gradient. Press the letter G. They're editable anytime, so you can access these points and edit your gradients at any time in order to change the colors. And if you want to see something very, very cool, let me see if I can show you that in these last 30 seconds that we got. I'm going to bring the image in and drop it next to it, and you can actually change the color of your gradients by going under edit colors and recolor artwork. And we have a color theme picker. Let me show it in action. We have our gradient selected, and then with the color theme picker we select the image, and boom, the gradient changes automatically, picking the color from the image. And here you can also change their distribution. Right, fantastic. I'm definitely going over time. Make sure to stay tuned here on Adobe Live. There is much more fun coming up with the XD stream. As I said, I'm going to be back with how to. Let me know in the chat if you enjoyed the show, if you find it useful, if you're really learning how to do something here with a wonderful Creative Cloud app. As I said, this is a safe space to learn, so make sure to stay tuned here on Adobe Live for much more fun in XD. And also don't forget to watch the replay for yesterday and for today's stream if you just joined at the end. Was my pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Val, for being here in chat and for the wonderful poll. We started the year with the poll. Beautiful. So I will see you very soon, and go and grab a glass of water and come back for more Adobe Live fun here. Thank you so much, everybody. I will see you very soon. Goodbye for now.